Welcome back to Prison Architect. It's the tutorial series, and I'm your host, longtime listener. Be sure to drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment below. This episode, we are going to cover canteens. Now, this is where your inmates are going to come to eat, and so there's a lot going on that you need to be aware of to make sure that everybody is well fed, but also obviously keeping in mind some other things in terms of traffic, contraband, etc. So let's start with the general requirements for the room itself. And as you can see here, you've got to have a serving table, tables, and benches. So the serving table is where the prisoners will come to get their food. So shortly before it is time to eat, the cooks will get the meals prepared and they will set them out on the serving tables. Then you've got tables and benches. As you can see here, I've got sprinklers because this is adjacent to my kitchen where there's likely to be fires. So that is something to keep in mind that you will want to have in there as well. You can also place other objects to improve the quality of the canteen. Water coolers are a good example. You can have drink machines, snack machines, plants, and then also the variety level and quantity of the food that you serve also has an impact on the canteen experience of the inmates. You want to make sure that you have one seat per prisoner. Now the reason is each bench has can seat four, so at each table you could hypothetically have eight if you got a bench on each side. A prisoner is going to come in. We'll speed this up so I can show you. The prisoner will come in and grab a tray and go sit down and eat. When they are done, generally speaking, they leave that tray there. So if you've got more seats or more inmates than you do seats, you won't have enough capacity to house or for every inmate to grab a meal and then go sit down and eat. Now, as you can see here, it is probably a good idea to have yard time right before eat time, and also to have the yard next to the canteen itself. That way, basically, they're already right there and they don't have very long to go to get to their meal and go ahead and start eating. Um, you can also see in the logistics tab, you can see food distribution, and you can see A, which inmates or which cells are going to go eat at that facility, as well as which kitchens are actually supplying meals to that canteen. Now we can see them coming in to grab a meal. You see here, I've got 23 meals supplied and I've got 21 inmates that require meals that are coming to eat here. Over here, I can see the same information. I've got 45 meals for so as long as you have more supply than you do demand, that's a good thing. It's okay if you have a little bit extra because inmates can actually use free time to go eat if there are still meals prepared. Now you can see a lot of the inmates that were in this yard ended up going way back over here to eat. So ideally you would have your prison partitioned to where like inmates that are forced to go to this yard also are forced to eat in this canteen. It's just a logistical thing that can help, so keep that in mind. Now, as you can see, actually, let's go over here because this is a better example. There's a lot of people in here, and so this can actually create more tension. The more inmates are kind of bogged down and around each other, the more likely you are to have a riot or a fight break out. So two things. One, try and make sure that you've got a little bit of space in between the tables and everything so that there's foot traffic not getting all jammed up together. And then also, whoa, hang on a second, guys. Rule number one is think about contraband. So you've got to make sure that you keep them from getting through in and out without at least having to go through a metal detector. Otherwise, they will grab a fork, a spoon, a knife, etc. Just take it with them straight back to their prison cell. So again, make sure that there's plenty of space. It's probably not a bad idea to have this blocked off with a door so that you could lock it down in case a riot does break out in the kitchen or in the canteen. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you've got an inmate that is quote unquote legendary, that is just really hard to keep from going off and causing trouble, it's probably a good idea to keep them out of the canteen around all these people. Anytime they are around this many people, it's a high likelihood that a fight's going to break out. They're going to kill somebody. They're probably going to kill a guard, etc. Now, it's also a good idea to have a guard deployed to each canteen just to try and maintain a little level of security as well. Let's see what else we got. Oh, for a staff canteen, so like this is a staff room, and now if my staff is going to come here and eat, those meals are actually, so if I were to go like this, hang on a second. If I was to go and see, so like this could be my staff room over here. If I went like this and made this a canteen, but it's designated as staff only, why? Okay, so we've got staff only up here, right? And this is a staff canteen. Meals for a staff canteen are shipped in, ready to eat. So they are actually brought in from deliveries. You don't need a kitchen to cook for a staff canteen. So that is noteworthy because you can, avoid having to have those extra, cooks, etc. Save the money on the cookers, the fridges, the sinks. I haven't done that here in this sandbox run that I'm doing, but that is actually something that I learned from reading information on the wiki, and that is a huge tip, to be honest. Now, finally, I think we've talked about mostly everything. The last thing that I will mention is serving tray capacity. And the only thing that I'm going to leave you with is that if you've got meal quantity set to medium and meal variety set to high, one serving table can accommodate 50 prisoners. So if you have a canteen that's, set up to field about 100 inmates, you could hypothetically do it with 2 serving tables. Now, it's not a terrible idea to have some extras because that will just help with traffic, especially if you have them spread out. Like, for example, if this canteen was larger and I had, some here, some down here, like if I had one on each side of the canteen, that would make it to where there was less traffic coming in and out of there. Now you can see that mealtime is over. Our cooks have come in, they've gotten the trays, they're bringing them back here to the sinks to wash them so to get ready for the next meal. About an hour or so before the next meal time, they're already going to have started cooking, and they're going to go ahead and bring some more meals out and get them ready for the next meal to come in. So that's the basics as far as the way that a canteen works. But again, there are actually, I don't know that I talked about. The one thing that I did not talk about is that if you don't have CCTV in here, that also improves quality. But I would say that it's more so that it doesn't degrade quality, because if you have one in there, it actually lowers the quality for that experience for the inmates. So that is everything that I think you should need to know about canteens as far as the basics. So if you've got a chance, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment below, and we'll see y'all next time.